attempt to bring recreational marijuana to West Springfield was blocked by its town council last night. Marijuana becomes legal for adults 21 and older in Massachusetts on July 1st, but individual cities and towns have the final say on the issue. And the word from West Springfield councilors was no. But Mayor William Reichelt had vetoed the council's initial vote, which brought us to last night's special meeting, and that's where the council overrode the mayor's veto 8-1. Councilor Brian Griffin was among those who blocked the veto.
Preponderance of the individuals who have come before us or reached out to us and had issue with this have said to us that we should override the mayor's veto, and that, to Councilor Eager's point, is what we're here to do. So,
but a no vote might not mean no forever.
Let some neighboring communities work out the bugs associated with the startup. If there are no problems, we can change the ordinance at will.
For a look at both sides of the issue, Town Councilor George Kelly and Mayor Reichelt spoke with me in the studio.
Back in 2016, after the original vote, we put a moratorium in place. It was a 2-year moratorium until December of 2018, so 6 more months pretty much. And the idea behind that, my thinking, even giving that to the city council or town council, and our discussions, were to spend time understanding the issue, seeing what the state was going to do for rules and regs, and seeing how that would fit in kind of with the town of West Springfield, and see also what other communities were doing as well. So my thought was, after just one public hearing, it wasn't enough time to really digest all the issues and have a good discussion on it. And if we come to the point of we're going to ban it, that's fine after kind of more discussion, because if we want, we could always do just banning sales, but allowing cultivation and testing. We have tens of thousands of square feet of empty industrial space. But I think you just need more discussion. That's what my goal was.
Okay, great. So Councilor Kelly, let me bring you into this. The council voted 8-1 saying no, you do not want to see recreational marijuana in the city of West Springfield. Why?
Mainly the voters, the people do not want it, even after the mayor's tweets and online presence. It's running 6-1 in our count against recreational marijuana. We embrace medical marijuana, but we do not want recreational. I believe that the mayor and the council should have vetted this issue much more. And I don't know what the mayor was thinking when an issue lost 8-1 and he decided to veto it.
But as I understand it, Mass Live reported that the vote in 2016 was close. It was 50% who voted to ban recreational marijuana, 47% who didn't, and then 3% of those votes were left blank. So if you take that 3% count, 3% blank into account, you're running about neck and neck on this issue. Is that where your thinking is?
Absolutely, and I even talked to people who said, like, hey, I voted against legalization, but it's legal now in the state, so why would we give up the opportunity to allow a new business to come to West Springfield, especially when we have, we benefit from being, and I've probably said this to you before, the crossroads in New England, in that we had 9091 come through with 2 very busy retail and business corridors and a lot of empty space that these places could benefit from on the outskirts of our community. So I think, especially with a vote being so close and it being 2 years ago, if we want to get to a discussion and say, okay, we're not going to ban it for now, but let's put it back on the ballot and vote again, because it has been 2 years and opinions have changed. And even from my online presence, people have learned more about, like, oh, I didn't understand that's what that meant, or I didn't understand that the Cannabis Control Commission made these rules, or that the state does this and that it can't be near school. So I think we benefit from more discussion, but also at the end of the day, and I've said this, if the council is making a decision based on the 2016 vote, that's fine, but it should go back to the ballot again, because opinions change, and this is a big business that we're going to essentially lose, while at the same time saying we're business friendly.
Councilor, what do you think?
I don't think the mayor should have vetoed it. I think the mayor should have come in and talked to each councilor individually and got what we're thinking about. But
so is there room here?
Because we're 2 parts of government, and we're a check and balance on the mayor. And if those conversations don't occur, and I know that the country's plagued by them not occurring in Washington, but when they don't occur locally, that's a sad point. A 500 vote margin is not a close vote. I've run in several elections and been elected in several elections, and if you lose a vote by 500 votes, it's not close. You would never, ever ask for a recount, and you'd never, ever get one.
So let me jump in here. I hear both sides kind of saying the same thing for a second, which is we want time for more discussion. So here we are, Monday afternoon. You're scheduled to vote on this Monday night, tonight, this evening. Is there an opportunity for the council to say, you know what, we're going to table this issue and let some more discussion transpire?
Really, there is not, because we have 30 days to override the mayor's veto.
They can't table the veto, because if they table the veto, then it's thrown out of time. But to your point, it doesn't mean the discussion has to end. It doesn't mean that this has to be the time we stop talking about recreational marijuana or adult use marijuana in West Springfield. We can certainly have that discussion again, and because what they've done is a general ordinance, it only takes another meeting to kind of reverse that, or to have a discussion of the council would have to do this to put it on the ballot to have another vote. So it doesn't mean it has to end tonight, but what I'm doing, and the reason for the veto was, I'm saying more discussion has to happen. And more discussion has to happen with people who know kind of the facts and understandings of what recreational marijuana is. You know, Springfield City Council just came back from, not I'm saying that I'm going to send you guys to Denver, but they just came back from Denver
fact-finding mission, right,
to
exactly.
understand what's going on. And we benefit from having both our senator and our state representative sat on the Joint Marijuana Commission that kind of rewrote the law that eventually was put into place. So in reality, we voted on a different law in 2016 than we actually have now, but we could benefit from more understanding. We have them, we have folks that are more than happy to come in. They've offered tours of the facilities to better understand what those look like.
I have 4 grandchildren in West Springfield, go to West Springfield schools. And, you know, we are not ready for this. I mean, this whole legislation came in by the back door, by a ballot initiative, and it was passed by a ballot initiative. Whether it was passed in West Springfield or not, the state legislature thought, in their wisdom, and I'd like to thank Rep. Finn for all his work on this, and the state legislature thought that towns that voted against the marijuana law needed a back door to express the will of the voters. And that's why we're in a position to do that.
When you say ballot initiative, you mean the fact that the mayor has said he would like to bring this back to the voters of West Springfield. Is that what you mean?
No, I don't. I mean that
You
it
mean
was
what's already
created.
transpired?
The law was created by a ballot initiative.
Correct.
Yes. And it was passed by a ballot initiative. People in the know have told me that that is not like a law that was created by the legislature as far as changing that by another ballot.
The state is working out, you know, the regulations have passed, and now the state is in the process of permitting, you know, cities and towns or individual businesses that want to establish a business in cities and towns.
It's against federal law. We don't have any method in place for people who are stoned or high or whatever you want to call it, doing recreational marijuana. We don't have any safeguards in place to keep the candies and cookies and brownies and gummy bears that will be in recreational marijuana out of the hands of children.
So I think what's happening in cities and towns is now this is where cities and towns are coming in and saying, okay, here's how we are going to regulate, to your point, whether it's the use of edibles, whether it's the use of smoking devices, et cetera, et cetera. Mayor, what I think I've heard you say is you are interested in West Springfield possibly looking at this issue as an economic development opportunity. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at Springfield, there's a moratorium. If you look at Agawam, I think I'm correct, there's a moratorium there as well. Chicopee and Holyoke have said they're in on this. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at from an economic development perspective, 2 of 4 communities around you have already said yes, they want to move forward on this issue. So when you're approaching it as an economic development opportunity, what do you see there?
Well, I see, like I said before, the crossroads of New England, the fact that we benefit so much from being a retail hub. We're one of the first Home Depots, when the only Costco's around. So it's West Side, for good or bad. Traffic is very easy to flow through us and get around. I grew up here, it's always been 5 minutes from wherever spot you want to go to. So we benefit from that, in that it's easy to place retail here because it's easy to get to. And Westfield, I think, is working on it as well. So most of the communities around us are heading towards that way, but still, when folks look at West Side, they say, well, we'd rather be there because we know there's this amount of traffic on the roads, there's this amount of people, it's easy to get to. It's an easy spot to base a retail place.
Have you heard from would-be businesses who say, hey, I see an opportunity here in West Springfield, we'd like to come and look at some space?
Well, early on we did, but after the councils voted, they've kind of left, and because Holyoke is very in favor of it. Chickabee's working towards it. So is Westfield. So they're looking towards other places now, I think. But we still have the opportunity, and whether or not be sales, it may just be manufacturing, we have, like I've said, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of square feet of empty industrial space that could benefit from it.
Carrie, if I could get in on this, I'd really like to. We had a vote in West Springfield about Hard Rock Casino. I was the only councilor that got up and spoke in favor of putting Hard Rock Casino in the back of the Big E. I said when it goes to Springfield, which would look like it was going to go, it will be 8,000 yards off of West Springfield. What was at stake for the West Springfield government at that point in time was $18.5 million annually, minimum. And the voters turned that down. The voters have previously turned down a racetrack, and I know that's probably 30 years ago.
Okay, so how do you see these connecting to the issue of marijuana?
Well, I think compared to what recreational marijuana would be taxed at, would be chump change. I mean, it's not going to be very much money. It might be $1 million, it might be $2 million, but I don't think it'll be nearly that because there's many other cities and towns selling it.